Hello and welcome to the agenda. I'm Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will discuss the impact of second wave of COVID on the country's economy. COVID cases in the country have been decreasing over the last few days. This raises hopes that the restrictions imposed because of the rising cases could be eased in the coming days and weeks. But how have these restrictions impacted the country's economy and people's lives? We will try to analyze this aspect in today's episode of the agenda with two experts on economy, Professor Aman Agarwal and Mr. Abhishek Rajaram. But before we start our conversation, have a look at this small report.
The country witnessed an unprecedented collapse of the economy in the first half of last year in the wake of COVID outbreak and resultant nationwide lockdown. Towards the end of the last financial year, the economy was showing recovery and displayed prospects of good growth in the current financial year. However, before the prospect of good growth could fructify, the second wave of coronavirus hit the country over a month back, leading to fresh lockdowns and restrictions across the country. The business activities again came to a standstill, and the freeze continues even now. In view of this, the country's economic outlook has weakened again, and there are fears of further losses of livelihood. Several sectors of the economy are feared to suffer huge damage. Some experts in economy have even warned that the country could face livelihood crisis unless the government takes some concrete steps. Ball is clearly in the court of government, which has the responsibility to ensure that enough liquidity is available in the market and that maximum people can earn their livelihood. There are suggestions from some industries that the government should go for extra minting of currency in view of the extremely critical situation facing the country. The situation is definitely worrisome. We report.
Now let's welcome our guest, Professor Agarwal and Mr. Rajaram Abhishek. Welcome to the program, both of you. So I'll start with the Professor Agarwal about various assessments being made by various experts about the impact of economy because of the restrictions, latest restrictions which have been in place for last almost 2 months. So what is your assessment of the impact?
You see, the reports are not that encouraging when it comes to the GDP growth and the projections being made. However, the positive signs which are coming out as against what we saw last year were two fronts. One was that we are seeing large number of banks and organizations declaring positive results in terms of profitability is being shown, which is fairly a positive return given the fact that for the last almost 6-7 years, most banks have been in a very bad shape and they've been showing NPAs and negative returns as a matter of fact. And large number of companies which are related to the healthcare and even subsidiary units, including supply chain, have shown positivity, which was not the case when you look at it last year around this. Thirdly, as I said before in your program, we are much better prepared this time, whether it is small-scale industries or others, as compared to what we were last time. Certainly, the uncertainty is there. We do not know how long the lockdown, because many states have seen 2 to 3 extensions of lockdowns on a weekly basis, and which is causing a cause of fear and concern, because that ultimately means loss of work hours and loss of livelihood for people at large, as well as for businesses in terms of survival. And that is certainly a cause of concern because we are not seeing much aid coming from the government so far. Although they were expected after GST, we might see some respite there. Also, you might see some respite in the allocations being made or announcements made by the Honorable Finance Minister. But so far, there are not any major announcements being made which could tantamount to any kind of fiscal spending or relief for different segments of the society, whether it is the service class or the economy, or the poor people, or the middle class, or the business community as such, especially the MSME segment in particular. So those are still cause of concerns which are there. But there is hope, and I think the situation with regard to the uncertainty of oxygen and beds and the number of COVID cases rising has been substantially brought under control in the last 3 to 4 weeks, I would say in the last 1 month. The government is trying to regularize and streamline things when it comes to even testing and vaccination. And we are seeing a large number of international players or vaccine producers also now going to be there within a month or so. So I think that's going to ease down the kind of stress or the pressure which has been built upon with regard to vaccination, because as large number of agencies within the country and overseas are saying that vaccination is the only hope we have, and it is a post-healthcare is not the hope that we're looking at. And I think that is what the government is also trying to introduce through various frameworks that they have.
Right. So, Mr. Rajaram, I come to you about your initial views on the assessment before we proceed further. What is your assessment about the impact on the economy?
Lockdown has definitely helped in restricting spread of corona COVID. But again, it has restricted transmission, but it has killed a sort of economy, and especially for the MSME sector. There are street vendors, there are hawkers, there are laborers, which are unable to get anything, a positive cash flow during this period. Also, we have small traders, for say a shopkeeper, and his home is also rented one, his shop is also rented one. He has to pay salaries for his employees. Some goods might be perishable goods or going to expire. Fix some he has to pay for the electricity, fix some he has to pay for the water charges and other maintenance charges, which are he has to pay. Now, and for a common man, food inflation is high petroleum prices, there is expenditure on health. Of course, we have seen some people who are not with us, who have left this world. But again, expenditure on these healthcare products, and in fact, the insurance cost is also now higher. And then from past 2 years, there is no hike in salaries. Vis-a-vis food inflation is all-time high, or say petroleum prices are all-time high. Then this has broken a backbone of positivity. We can always say that we should stay positive, we should speak positive, but when you don't have money and you have expenditure to pay, how can this be positive? And this will impact us in a longer term. We can say that we might grow at 10%, 20%, 30%, but what about businesses who will be permanently shut down from here? The people who will be jobless, the laborers, the construction sector. You might see real estate prices coming down like anything. And I don't understand why the stock market is factoring profitability for next year. We are seeing all lifetime high. But again, we had seen Shining India in 2004 also. Later on, we were not able to hold it.
So what should be the remedy? You are mentioned about that impact was expected also. So what should be the remedy to it? As you mentioned about livelihood issues.
First and foremost priority of us should be vaccination. Everyone should go for a vaccination, and government should produce more and more vaccines. Vaccination is the first step for.
But Mr. Rajaram, considering the population, the population we have, it will take, I think, maybe 2-3 years to vaccinate the entire population. So till then, should the economy be hold? Economic activity?
So for next 2-3 years, if we keep on working like from work from home syndrome, then what will happen to our economy? For the lower middle class, so it's very easy to say that, okay, work from home is good. How can a shopkeeper work from home? How can a construction sector work from home? How can a factory work from home? So in last 1.5 years, what expenditure, the basic necessities, people have expended on basic necessities, on basic, they are not buying things which are luxury item, which a sort of luxury item.
Yeah, you are right. The reserves are ending. You are right. So I'll come back to you. But Professor Agarwal, as you heard Mr. Rajaram about the livelihood issues, in fact, I read about one economic expert recently saying that there could be a livelihood crisis in India after this COVID. So how much do you agree with that?
No, I think a large number of policies laid down by the government of India in the last 8-10 years, including the one which is Manrega by Pranab Mukherjee ji, and later on after 2014, the kind of whether it is startup or stand-up, all of them actually focus on livelihood. So it's not that or the Ayushman Bharat also focuses on livelihood. You see, the government's role is to make policies, and it is the officer's role to get it implemented and put it on the ground. A very critical question you asked in particular just now was the fact that if we go on the pace of vaccination which we are going, if we take 2 years, so are we supposed to be looking at only going for work after 2 3 years and taking this kind of long break? I think that is not the solution. The solution here is, which now the government has realized in the last 6 months, is to open up this sector to private enterprises, hospitals, doctors, setups, where vaccination can be granted at a particular cost, like the foreign vaccinations which are coming. They can be utilized, and whoever can afford that cost should go ahead by affording that cost. And wherever people can't afford, they should be given the vaccination where the government can give, especially taking it to various panchayats, small districts, where a large part of the population, almost about 60.
But Professor Agarwal, that can happen only.
In this country.
Professor Agarwal, that can happen only when we have enough vaccines. The problem right now is the acute shortage of vaccines, isn't it?
No, I think as there has been a debate about multiple creations, even if it's a question of, let us say, a company making vaccine, they can actually go about acquiring or taking up, renting.
I know, but that is all in the domain of debate and discussion.
No,
right?
No, again.
So many vaccines will come by July. So many vaccines will come by September. That is all. I mean,
let me just complete. Let me just complete. Not to name one of these vaccine makers, Bharat Biocon actually go about in terms of expanding their activities and tying up with businesses where they're actually making these vaccines in other states as well now.
Right.
So this kind of a thing, instead of Serum Institute making it in Serum Institute only,
I know they are opening a Pune lab.
Vaccination can be made, and those labs could be utilized to create those.
Right.
And those could be done even in medical facilities, like the army medical facilities are there, the government medical facilities are there, where it can be done under the supervision and complete blockage of non-usage of formula by the Serum Institute till there is an openation of this formula which is there. So there can be an expansion of vaccines. And secondly, as we said, like whether it is Sputnik or other vaccines which are there, whether it's Pfizer or others, if we are able to buy, they're ready to give us certain bulk, we could actually ease the responsibility on the government, at least for those people, by that much amount, which could be owned, like you or someone can afford a vaccine of 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, even if it may not be easy, but it may be comfortable for us to go about affording it.
Right.
But for a person who cannot afford at all, at least this vaccination which I am going to take it, instead if it could go to that person, would at least spread the thing, and it will make things better. It will be, given the size of the country, the United States of America is 1/3 the size. They have not been able to vaccinate people.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the population size we have.
Given the size, we need to look at other alternative solutions instead of just restricting everything to the government and saying only when the government.
About the impact of restrictions due to COVID will have on the country's economy and people's lives. So, Mr. Rajaram, I come to you. You heard Professor Agarwal giving a number of good, valid suggestions that so many things should be done. But my point is, it's very right to say should be done, but will it be done? That is the crucial part, whether that will be exactly done. And government has to take the lead in this. Even if we had to give so many other companies licenses to produce vaccines, the lead has to be given by the government.
I would like to attract your attention
and
everyone's attention towards a tweet by President of India, in which our Honorable Minister Prakash Javadekar has assured country that, I'm quoting it, vaccination exercise in India to be completed by December. Health Ministry gave roadmap for producing 216 crore doses by then.
Right.
So this is official statement by the government.
That is the latest statement.
Yeah. That's the latest statement.
Yeah.
So when he was saying that it would take 2-3 years, I would like to trust on my Honorable Minister that it would be completed by December.
Really, you trust
so
that?
vaccination would be completed by December.
So you really believe that our entire population will be vaccinated by December? Okay, is it?
I have no doubt I have no reason to doubt integrity and statement of our Honorable Minister. If you have any doubt, then
no, I don't.
Might have that.
I don't have the liberty to doubt, but maybe I'll ask Professor Agarwal, because we are discussing about the magnitude of population we have. Do you think it is feasible to vaccinate the entire population by December?
You see, my dear friends, it is possible to do it in the next 2 months also. It's a question of having that will and the direction to do it. If you were in a country like China, where democracy was not to play and one command was supposed to go
Right.
forward, then it could have been done in 2 months' time. You see, all medical colleges which are spread across the whole country, all small dental colleges which are spread across the country, can be utilized in terms of giving vaccination. What is stopping the government to order the educational framework where these people are being trained to go about facilitating giving away of vaccinations?
But Professor
which should be
Agarwal, I'll
there.
again point out, we don't have enough vaccines.
No,
We don't get the
That's
slots.
you are raising.
We-
Sir,
we
sir,
have-
sir, that
we
point
have-
you are raising. The government is saying they have the capacity.
No, I am stating the facts. I mean, people are looking for slots still.
Then
to get
you
vaccinated.
mean to say that you mean to say that honorable minister is not stating the facts?
No, but you are
He's
questioning me.
misleading the country.
I should be questioning you. You are questioning me. So, yeah, Professor
Yeah,
Agarwal
so,
was saying.
no, as I was saying, you see, we have almost about 600 billion US dollars of foreign exchange. Why does any individual or an organization or institute or a country create a reserve? It is to come in place of intelligence. Even if you have to spend $100 billion out of it to
Exactly.
go about buying vaccine
Right.
for the people at large, the government must come in and step in and do that kind of an activity. We have seen governments in the past who have actually eroded away the whole of the wealth. There was a time when France, almost 2/3 of France's population had been disappeared because of an epidemic. And then they went into a huge debt by taking huge debt in terms of going away. A debt which was supposed to be resolved in 300 years, which they resolved much earlier, but which led to a 300-year debt which they almost took. So, it's important to look at the fact that we have sufficient reserve, we have liquidity which is coming. Recently, RBI gave a huge chunk of money as a dividend to the government as well. Now, it's a question of wisely using that money
Correct.
to empower the citizens of this country. So everything is possible. As I said, it can be done in a month to 2 months' time. We don't even need to wait till December.
Depending on the
So it's
will.
a question of the will of the government and the machinery. It is not only the government's will. It's not only the policymakers' will. It is also a question of the machinery which is there. Let it implement. They go about doing it as a directive and go forward, marching ahead, doing it. If they do it, they can do it overnight also. It's
Right.
not such a big deal to go about doing it.
So,
And we have the manpower which is required for it, and we have the requisite funds, and we have even the mechanism of at least indigenizing. Many countries don't even have indigenous vaccination production. Many of them are just buying it from overseas. So those who are just buying it from overseas have made it sufficient for themselves. Why can't we do it at our home where
Yeah.
we have requisite manpower as well as equipment?
that is the question actually. Mr. Rajaram, that is the question. Why are we not buying enough vaccines around the world when every other country has done? But right now, everybody is struggling. State governments have issued tenders and they have no results. I mean, they are just fighting, and I mean, it's a scramble, I'll say. It's a scramble for vaccines. What do you say?
No company would like to deal with 29 different states. They would like to have centralized buying. They would love to deal with central government. One thing is that. Second thing, when Professor Agarwal has said that the government has got 99,000 crore rupees from RBI 2 years ago in 2019, let me remind him, government got 1.7 lakh crore rupees from the RBI chest.
Right.
And which they asked especially. And what they did with that, they gifted 1.4 lakh crore rupees to corporates by reducing corporate tax rates, but they didn't reduce the income tax rate for individuals. They didn't reduce income tax rate for the partnership firms. They gave
And
benefit
also,
to the
also
corporates.
the GST rates, GST revenue collections have been at the all-time high recently.
GST revenue collections are not going to sustain for a long term. They are on the basis of first they have blocking ITC. They are with late fees.
No, but
And
what I'm trying to
interest
say,
penalties.
I mean, government has
But
got the
today
revenues.
you will get benefit.
Yeah.
Today's GST Council meeting, late fees must be there. GST amnesty should come, and then we
No,
will
I'm
see
talking
the
about
collection.
I'm talking about the revenues the government has. I mean, petrol from petroleum products, the government is earning. So there are various
Of course.
Government is earning.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So,
Government
as-
is earning.
as
And
Professor
what they are
Agarwal-
doing,
as
what they are doing, they are coming with Central Vista project.
So as Professor Agarwal was saying that it is now, I mean, government should open its purses, all reserves, because this is a war crisis. Like, what do you say, Mr. Rajaram? I'm asking you.
It is not war like, it is a war. It
Yeah.
is a medical war, healthcare.
So do you agree with him that government should open its purses and treasury?
Yes, it is the right time, and we should print some currency notes also. They have been gone to buy. Sorry, they are restricting the fiscal losses, which should be taken forward, and we have to print money right now.
So, is printing money as a solution, Professor Agarwal? Last question before we wind up. Is that a solution? Because some other
No, I think
CII chairman yesterday
is
mentioned.
not.
Yeah.
Monetization is not a need of the hour as of now. It's a question of appropriately using our allocations and resources we have in hand as of today.
Right.
And appropriately using them. This is something which is a clear mismanagement of resources, whether it is human capital, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is the facilities which are there. Like railways are there everywhere. Why can't we use railway compartments to be created as hospitals? Why can't we create them as vaccination centers? Because railways are there. Post offices are there everywhere. Post offices, a large part of the post office is not used in most cities.
I would even say cinema halls are lying idle. Maybe cinema halls all over.
Yes. So those could actually be utilized. You have full infrastructure in place where it could be utilized by doctors who are everywhere. Even small towns have doctors, whether even Desi or non-Desi, they know how to give injections. They know how to do things. You check them, and if they're suitable, you enroll them as warriors and get them in for giving up the vaccinations which is required, giving up the basic requirements like washing hands, wearing a mask, keeping distancing, seeing that if there is fever, what kind of time frame you're supposed to do, doing tests. All those things can be done at small villages and the real heart of India, which could be done. It's a question of only management. You don't require too much money for it. It's a question of only management which is required to be there and they will to do.
So proper management is the key. Professor, Mr. Rajaram, last question to you. Is that the key? I mean,
we can't
is
expect
that happening?
We can't expect proper management for this government, because for health questions, either Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman comes to answer, or today Prakash Javadekar has come to answer. So they don't know who has to answer which ministry question is concerned. So it's a long way. I leave it to your wisdom.
Okay, so we hope that situation will be corrected, and we hope that, as you said, that maximum people will be vaccinated by this year end. But thank you both of you for participating in this debate today. This is all in the agenda today. Dear viewers, I have an important piece of information to share with you. From 2nd June, that is next Wednesday, your favorite program, The Agenda, will be telecast at 6 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. Please take note of it. Meanwhile, I'll be back with another important and interesting topic tomorrow. Till then, take care and stay safe. Goodbye.